Okay, this video is designed to show you how to self-administer and then score the 4 tools that make up the IALB Leisure Battery. Those 4 tools are the Leisure Satisfaction Measure, the Leisure Attitude Measurement, the Leisure Motivation Scale, and the Leisure Interest Measurement. Okay, all 4 of the tools look at different things, measure different things: satisfaction, attitude, motivation, and interest. But they're all laid out in a really similar way. So once you understand how to do one, it's pretty much the same for the remaining 3. Okay, so what you want to make sure you have on hand is a copy of the actual assessment tools, and then you just need a pen or a pencil, and a calculator would be helpful as well. So what you're going to do, I've got the leisure satisfaction measure here first. On this particular one, there are 24 statements that you're going to respond to. So you'll see the rating scale at the top here, where 1 equals almost never true, and 5 is almost always true, and then the 3 things in between. So you're going to read each of the statements, and you're going to decide what applies to you in terms of that rating scale. So if it's something that is almost always true, then you would write the corresponding number, in this case of 5, next to that item. So item number 1, my leisure activities are very interesting to me. So is that almost never true, seldom true, somewhat true, often true, or almost always true? So you're just going to record the number that matches your response to each of the 24 statements on this one. Okay? The leisure attitude measurement is laid out exactly the same. The rating scale is slightly different. I don't really have a great explanation as to why. For the remaining ones, the first answer is never true as opposed to almost never true. But they just dropped the word almost from number 1 and number 5 for the remaining ones. So again, the 5-point rating scale, with 1 being never true and 5 being always true. The leisure attitude measurement has 36 items. Okay, so same thing. You're going to go down each of those, read the question. Number 1, engaging in leisure activities is a wise use of time. So do you think that's always true, often true, somewhat true, etc.? Okay, you're going to record your responses there. Leisure motivation scale, 48 items. Again, laid out similarly. Same steps in terms of answering that. And then the leisure interest measurement has 29 items that you're going to respond to in terms of your interests. Okay, so you can do these one at a time. And once you have answered the questions on the front, then it is time to turn over the score sheet and do the summary page on the back. So for the summary page, there are actually only a couple of things that you're going to fill in. These would be typically used in TR practice, and oftentimes the rec therapy professional would sit with the individual and ask them the questions or fill it out with them. So the first part of the summary sheet is what they call the client behavior section. So it's about things like appearance and attention span, attitude, etc. Okay, none of that applies since you're self-administering it, so you're not going to tick off or circle anything in that section. Okay, the only thing that you need to do here is this section here. Okay, that's the scoring section. It might be at a slightly different spot in each of the tools, but you're going to be looking for the part that talks about subsections or subscales. And you'll see for this one, which is the leisure motivation scale, there's 4 different scales that you will need to calculate. So this is where you're going to need your calculator. The other thing that you will need are the scoring instructions that you're going to find in Blackboard for each of these tools. So you need to look where I've directed you to look in Blackboard, and you're going to find instructions for how you calculate those subscale scores. And how you calculate them is slightly different for each of the tools. So you will see an instruction package posted in Blackboard for each of the individual tools, and you're looking for the section in there that says scoring instructions. Okay, so for the leisure motivation scale, here it is. And for all of them, you'll get to a point where there's probably some boxes, and it will tell you that you need to add up the scores from certain items. And then for some of them you have to do some division, others you're just going to total the scores. But that's where you need to look at the instructions for each of the individual tools to make sure that you're doing it correctly. So for this one, again, for example, the leisure motivation scale, you'll see here, in order to get the sub-score A, which is the intellectual motivation, you're going to add up your own responses from question number 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way up to 12. And then you're going to record that total in the appropriate spot over here, okay, on the score sheet. So once you get that subscale score, you're going to go back over here and you're going to record the total on the appropriate line. Okay, so again, for the leisure motivation scale, you're going to end up with 4 totals there. So that's what you do need to fill out on the back of these. And you want to make sure that your name is on this as well. There is a spot on the front of the sheet for you to put your name under, the patient's name is the heading here. You could do it on the back or the front, doesn't really matter. Okay, but what you need to make sure for each of these tools then is that all of the questions on the front of the sheet have been answered using the 5-point rating scale, and you want to make sure that the subscale scores for each of the items have been calculated properly. And in order to do that, you're going to need to read the instruction package in Blackboard and find the section in there. And for some of them, it's going to be 3 or 4 pages into the instruction package, but you need to find the section that says scoring instructions, okay, and do the calculations that it tells you to do, and then record the appropriate numbers on those lines on the back of the actual score sheet. So again, all 4 tools in the IALB Leisure Battery, Leisure Satisfaction Measure, oops, zoomed in too far, Leisure Satisfaction Measure, Leisure Attitude Measure, Leisure Motivation Scale, and the Leisure Interest Measurement. Okay, they're all laid out very similarly. You're going to answer the questions on the front, 5-point rating scale, and then do the subscale score calculations on the back. And that is the IALB Leisure Battery.